Millennia ago, there was the first god of destruction who was among us, and his name was Beerus. He was more powerful than all the gods of destruction in any universe. His fame was known by the entire multiverse. The one who could absorb the life energy of the planet just by opening his mouth and sucking everything he could. Old Beerus had a vast knowledge of magic and used it to his advantage when punishing the planets. Once he decided to take a rest of 10,000 years on his home planet called Cornicida. In that time of rest, he met the one who, for some, would be his wife. But for Beerus, the woman he had just met would be the one who would generate the worthy heir. A few years together with his wife, they produce a son, little Beerus. After Beerus grows up and becomes a kind of teenager, Beerus abandons him and his wife to continue his destiny of being the god of destruction of Universe 7. Beerus then grew up with his mother throughout his adolescence until one day his father returned. The little Beerus was hoping that his father would give up on becoming the god of destruction, but unfortunately that wasn't the reason for Beerus' visit. Beerus, alongside Whis, returned to his planet after a long time and announced the destruction of his own home planet. The only survivor of that horrific day in the life of Beerus had been himself. Beerus asked Whis to take Beerus to another planet where he would not be destroyed for a while. Beerus then realized that his father had not saved him because he liked him, but because the boy would be useful to him in the future. After the destruction of his home planet, the god Beerus had mysteriously disappeared. No one but Whis knew what had happened to him, and with that Whis trained new gods of destruction until he reached the current god, Beerus. Beerus was very sorry for the loss of his planet and the people, and that made Beerus carry a hatred that made him destroy the planets he saw in front of him. But all he really wanted to do was to take revenge on his father for what he did to his mother. One of the reasons Beerus didn't destroy the land is because of the love they had for each other, something his father never knew. Beerus and Whis never commented on Beerus, but they knew what each one thought of Beerus, and that was enough, and that's why they never talked about Beerus' father, because earlier and later they would meet. On Earth in current times, the Z-Warriors were having a small party among themselves to celebrate Father's Day. Beerus was not happy, and was only there because he was invited. He could not refuse that party. Goku, Krillin, and Vegeta had received some gifts from their children and wives for being amazing parents. Piccolo watched the party from afar until Gohan came up to him with a present for him who had been such a good father and that moved the Namekian a lot. Piccolo then said, "Thank you, Gohan. I'm glad you have this affection for me. I'm eternally grateful for that," Piccolo said with a big smile. Gohan then says, "No need to thank you. You're amazing," said Gohan, hugging Piccolo. Everyone was cheering merrily until Goku and Vegeta noticed that Beerus and Whis were acting weirder than usual, and they decided to see what it could be. As Goku approached, he said, "Come eat something that Chi-Chi prepared. You look terrible," said Goku, smiling, trying to cheer up Beerus. Beerus growls and says, "I'm just waiting for this party to end so I can get out of here as fast as I can, so I don't have to see that snotty face of yours. Something else you treat each other like it's a big deal to be a father or have a child," said Beerus, quite grumpy and irritated, leaving Goku scared. Whis comments, "Father's Day doesn't make much difference to me. My dad and brothers don't see each other often, but I can assure you that we are forever grateful to him," said Whis, making Beerus even angrier. The god of destruction then says, "Do you say that about all your brothers, even those who—" Before Beerus could finish his speech, Whis interrupts him. After Whis interrupts Beerus, he says, "Yes, sir, Beerus. All my brothers without exception," Whis calmly said. Vegeta steps in front of Goku and says, "Is that grumpy mood of yours the fact that your father isn't here with you?" asked Vegeta, playing with Beerus' face. An angry Beerus says, "You don't know anything about my father," Beerus exclaims. Goku then asks curiously, "That's true. I had never thought about that. Who was your father, Sir Beerus?" questioned Goku intriguingly. Beerus dryly responds, "My father was a nobody, that's all," said Beerus, turning his face. Vegeta laughs and says, "Are you angry because your father was a nobody?" said Vegeta, looking at Beerus in the eyes. Beerus gets up in a rage and raises his ki, but Whis holds him back and says, "Calm down, Mr. Beerus. Sit down," Whis said while Beerus sat down again. Whis goes on to say, "Mr. Beerus' father was the first god of destruction of Universe 7, and without a doubt, he was the best man I ever trained in my entire existence," said Whis, leaving Goku and Vegeta quite impressed until Beerus starts to get angry. Beerus, containing all his anger, says, "Enough, Whis. That was enough." said Beerus, who was almost at his limit regarding that conversation. Goku very excitedly and curiously says, "Mr. Beerus, this is amazing. Where is your father now? What happened to him?" questioned Goku. Vegeta senses that something bad could happen and says, "Kakarot, I don't think we should go on talking about this. The situation could get worse," said Vegeta very nervously. Whis then laughs and says, "The situation has already gotten worse," Whis said while seeing Beerus raise all his hatred to the maximum. Beerus then, not holding up, gets up and shouts, "My father disappeared millennia ago. He was complete garbage. He killed my mother and my entire planet. That's why I hate this pathetic human day," said Beerus, completely irritated, making Goku and Vegeta nervous. Whis then calmly says, "Your father is not gone, Mr. Beerus. You don't know the truth about your father, so please don't say nonsense. You never knew the truth about your father because you let your ignorance blind your eyes, and so you didn't go after him. I could have helped if I wanted to," Whis said, staring at Beerus. Vegeta and Goku think at the same time, "This is going to be a problem," thought the Saiyajin, preparing for the worst when seeing the state in which the situation was. Goku then calmed the situation down by saying, "All right, guys, we understand that Mr. Beerus doesn't want to talk about his father, right?" said Goku, very nervous, looking at Whis and Beerus. Beerus then lowers his head and smiles. Then he laughs and says, "You're wrong, Son Goku. I want to know about my father more than anyone else." "Come on, Whis, open your beak. Tell him everything he knows," ordered Beerus. Vegeta, worried about what could happen if Beerus gets angry, says, "I don't think that's a good idea. You guys should say that somewhere else," suggested Vegeta, who is completely ignored by both. Whis then calmly says, "All right, Mr. Beerus, if that's what you want. You'll know your father's origin here and now," Whis said, staring at Beerus, who was slightly anxious to hear what Whis would say. Whis and Beerus looked at each other seriously as they were watched by Vegeta and Goku, who were worried, but also quite curious to know the history of Beerus' father. The Saiyan waiting for Whis to tell the story anxiously. The angel then looks at the Saiyan and smiles, saying, "It's remarkable that you want to hear a lot, so I'll tell you," Whis said, smiling. Beerus says irritably, "You guys are too nosy. I don't see anything interesting coming from that guy for you to be interested about him. My father is a destroyer of lives and a terrible father," said Beerus, quite furious, leaving Goku a little distressed. Vegeta then arrogantly says, "I thought the work of the gods of destruction was to destroy the planets. Apparently that's all you guys are for, isn't it?" Needled, Vegeta irritated, but Beerus was reaching the limit of his patience. Whis then interferes, giving a slight cough to ease the situation, and in a friendly way he says, "Calm down, Mr. Beerus. You better than anyone should know how these two love a story to get into trouble. I think I better tell you before they piss you off even more, don't you?" Whis said, looking at Beerus, who simply sighs and nods in agreement while containing his anger. Goku then gets too excited and says, "Finally, seeing you two facing each other was already annoying. Tell me soon," said Goku, excited when he notices Beerus' angry face and soon realizes he has said a lot of nonsense. Vegeta, almost out of patience, says, "Stop stalling, just say it," said Vegeta rudely. Whis then gives a slight cough and sitting in a chair says, "Please, gentlemen, sit down, as the story may be a little long for you," Whis said as his friends sat around him. Whis then continues saying, "Well, millennia ago I was continuing Mr. Beamer's training, and I realized that he had reached an incredible level of power, something that until today I have never seen in a mere mortal. He was obviously more powerful than all the gods of destruction that existed. They were enormously jealous of Beamer's power, and for that they hated him," said Whis, who stopped when he saw Goku restless with his curiosity. Goku then says, "Let me guess, the gods came together to defeat Beamer?" asked a euphoric Goku. Vegeta, irritated by the fact that Goku interrupted Whis, the Prince of Saiyans, then says, "Let him continue the story," exclaimed Vegeta furiously while Goku was quiet. Whis then continued the story. Beamer was not easily intimidated by the threats of the gods. Once one of them came personally to face him in a fight to the death. The fight was not balanced. 1 hour Beerus hit, and at another time his opponent was beaten. The god had his life spared by Mr. Beamer because he knew that if he left that god alive, it would hurt his ego to the point that he begged for death," said Whis, leaving Goku and Vegeta speechless due to Beamer's power level. Even listening to all this, Beerus doesn't show any surprise or interest towards his father, and the Saiyans realize that. Whis then decides to continue his story by saying, One day, a meeting of angels was held without my presence, but I learned through Vados what they had said that day. The angels wanted to get rid of Beamer once and for all, because they were afraid of what he would be able to do, but they couldn't kill him due to our father's laws. In addition to the fact that Beamer possessed an absurd knowledge of magic that not even angels had, said Whis. Vegeta, after briefly analyzing the story, says, "All this because some powerful beings were jealous of a similar one? This is somehow nostalgic for me," Vegeta commented with a slight smile. Goku sees Vegeta commenting on the situation and says, "When it's me interrupting the story, you complain, right?" said Goku indignantly. Beerus gets angry and says, "Shut up, you two. Keep listening to Whis," said Beerus, stressed and slightly furious. Whis then continues the story by saying, the angels then came to a conclusion. Beamer would be cast out into the void world. Whis said surprising, even Beerus, who was amazed at that. Beerus, amazed, then says, "But wait a minute, only 4 beings were expelled to the empty world. It's not possible that my father was a threat to that point," said Beerus, grinding his teeth. Goku then asks, "What's in the void? I remember we fought there some time ago. But is there anything else there?" questioned Goku, intrigued. Whis then calmly replies, "After the creation of some universes, 4 angels rebelled against Daishinkan-sama. The universes of these angels were then destroyed, and the angels were banished to a place where they existed longer than Zeno-sama himself. The place is full of powerful and unimaginable creatures. The 4 angels, as much as they were trapped, they got stronger there, and thus became the 4 strongest archangels in the whole empty world," Whis explained. Beerus, who was already more than curious about the matter, asks, "So there are creatures in the void that are capable of being stronger than me?" questioned Beerus, worried and slightly distressed. Whis then says, "Yes. Even a miserable creature in that immensity can be work for the entire universe we know today. The archangels are savage and fierce. They've been fighting each other for millennia, and I wonder what must have happened when Beamer arrived at that location," asked Whis, slightly worried. Goku gets serious and asks, looking into Whis' eyes, "Is it possible that Beerus' father is still alive?" asked Goku while everyone looked at Whis thoughtfully. Whis starts to reflect a little and says, "Yes, it's possible, yes. I don't think that Lord Beamer would be defeated so easily in these millennia," Whis said confidently. Goku then says excitedly, "Then we can rescue him somehow," suggested Goku, excited, while Beerus still seemed to want to listen to Whis' story a little more. Beerus then, looking at Whis, asked, "Why did my father blow up my planet?" questioned Beerus, generating a tense atmosphere around. Whis quickly replies, "I don't know, but I believe it was not for nothing," Whis said, disappointing Beerus. Vegeta then questions, "Should we really do something to find out the truth?" Vegeta asks seriously. Beerus, in a grumpy manner, then asks, "What's the use? If he's still alive, he must have gotten used to it a long time ago," said Beerus. A day goes by after the party at Bulma's house. The Saiyans Goku and Vegeta are sitting on their plane near their houses while having a drink. Goku and Vegeta were thinking about the conversation they had with Beerus and Whis last night, and were discussing about what they could do about it. Vegeta thought it best to leave the story behind because it would be better for everyone, and especially for Beerus. Goku disagreed because he wanted to solve this anguish of Beerus once and for all, and somehow rescue the ancient god of destruction. Vegeta looked with his penetrating gaze at Goku, who was scared to see that look from Vegeta. The Prince of Saiyans then calmly said, "Beerus doesn't want to solve this. If he wanted, he and Whis would have already solved it themselves. Let's leave things as they are. My relationship with my father wasn't the best, and there was no way I could change anything that happened," said Vegeta, lowering his head and closing his eyes. Goku then gets confused and says, "You're right, you couldn't change anything, but Beerus can, and that choice unfortunately is his, and all we can do is wait," said Goku after a long sigh. Vegeta then says, "If by chance Beerus changes his mind, he won't want to solve this alone. I think it's difficult for him to involve us in this, so don't worry about the situation," said Vegeta, and then taking a sip of his drink. Goku then decides to ask, "Vegeta, would you save your father if you had the chance?" questioned Goku with a slight curiosity. Vegeta spends a few moments thinking and he replies, "Knowing everything I know about him, no, other than the fact that he wouldn't want his son to change his fate. His end is the result of his choices, whether they are good or not," said Vegeta, leaving Goku thoughtful about what he had just said. Goku then gives a side smile and says, "I wish I had the chance to meet my father. I keep thinking to myself if he would be proud of what I've become and what I've done in life." Don't you think so, Vegeta? Questioned Goku, looking into Vegeta's eyes. Vegeta then replies, yes, I think about it sometimes. When I look at my son, I'm quite proud of what he became and did in life. But I think my father would only feel one thing, envy, said Vegeta, leaving Goku a little sad. Goku then says, yes, our children are our greatest pride. I think that's all that matters. Don't you agree? Questioned Goku. Vegeta, giving a slight smile, replies, yes, you're absolutely right about that part, answered Vegeta while smiling with Goku watching the sunset. On the planet of Beerus. Elsewhere, Beerus was lying on his bed wearing his classic pajamas. He was watching the ceiling, and he was thinking about his father, a subject he never liked or even wanted to think about. Beerus reflected and asked himself what would be the reason that made his father, the ancient god of destruction, exterminate his own race. Now that Beerus knows the chance of Beamer being alive is high, he thought it would be worth saving him to find out the answers that he's looking for so much, but Beerus only knows that he can have a huge disappointment, since there is such a probability. Beerus then gets out of bed in his pajamas and decides to leave his comforts, and together with Whis, they go to the planet Earth to talk about what they could do. Beerus then arrives on planet Earth with Whis, who is still confused as to what Beerus is going to do, until the god of destruction notices Goku and Vegeta sitting in the grass and walks over to them in a very hurried fashion. Beerus then shouts, "Get up! I need to talk to you!" exclaimed Beerus, scaring Goku and Vegeta. Goku, surprised to see Beerus, says, "Beerus, why are you here?" questioned Goku, trying to understand. Beerus growls and says, "I changed my mind. I want help from you two to enter that empty world and go to where my father is," exclaimed Beerus, impressing everyone around him. Goku is so perplexed that he can't answer, so Vegeta takes the lead, saying, "If you didn't want to see your father before, why would you want to now?" asked Vegeta suspiciously. Beerus then replies, "I have matters to resolve personally with my father. If I don't like it, I'll send him back to the void," said Beerus with a confident look. Suspicious, Vegeta says, "For those who didn't want to see their father even painted in gold, you really want to see him," said Vegeta, staring at Beerus. Curious, Goku then questions, "How would you throw your father back into that empty world if you don't even know how we are going to get there?" questioned Goku, intrigued. Whis then butts in on the conversation, saying, "I know the spell that opens the portal to emptiness, and I also know the spell to close it," said Whis, leaving Goku quite impressed with that. Vegeta then asks Beerus, "What are you not telling us?" "I still think this is too fishy for my taste," Vegeta grumbled angrily, staring at Beerus. Beerus then gets stressed and says, "The business with my father is just between me and him. I need both of you. Only you two can help me with this," said Beerus, grinding his teeth. Vegeta, still mumbling, asks, "And why do you need both of us? You could go on your own, since that's your business, or even send another warrior on it," questioned Vegeta. Beerus then decides to explain, "I can't go on that mission. Whis and I have to stay here. Don't worry, we'll protect Earth from anything. But what about that?" asked Beerus, while Goku and Vegeta looked at each other thoughtfully. Goku then suggests, "We should have a little more time to think before making a final decision. I think that would be the most sensible idea," said Goku, leaving Vegeta impressed due to Goku's right choice. Beerus responds by saying, "We don't have time. We have to decide this fast. If the angels find out about our ruse, we could be in serious danger. We could be erased from all existence," said Beerus, stressed, rushing the decision of Goku and Vegeta. Goku looks at Vegeta and says, "I'll leave that decision to Vegeta. Whatever he decides, I'll accept," said Goku seriously. Whis then looks at Vegeta thoughtfully and says, "What will be your verdict, Mr. Vegeta?" questioned Whis, while everyone faced Vegeta's final decision. Vegeta then let out a sigh and says, "When we get back, you will make me the most powerful, understand?" Beerus, trying to hide a relieved smile, replies that Goku will be jealous of Vegeta when you finish training with me. Goku gets excited and asks, "Oh yeah? What are we waiting for then?" Whis interrupts and says, "It's not that simple, Mr. Goku. This spell to open the portal needs a special energy that is present in some items spread across the universes, with a total of 5 items. Vegeta, without much ado, asks what the items are and what universes they are in, and Whis replies, "Well, Sir Vegeta, a trunk of a type of tree that is the only one present on the planet Makuse. This item is here in our Universe 7. In Universe 6 there is an animal that has very good meat, but in addition we can also drain its energy and use it. This is called, by Mr. Champa, the Glenga monster." Goku raises his hands and asks, "So since only Vegeta and I are going after these items, isn't it better to go after these two now and then the next ones?" Whis thinks for a second and replies, "Okay, but they can't take too long. I'm going to take them to the places, and when they go to other universes they must be quick so as not to arouse suspicion in Universe 6. We can negotiate, but the others will have a problem." Vegeta says that he is going to Universe 6, but Goku says that he is going because he also wants to know that universe. Vegeta tells him to shut up and says, "Now is not the time to be getting these frills. Like Whis said, we can't take too long." Goku lowers his head and says, "Okay, let's go." First, Whis takes Goku to the planet Makuse and wishes him good luck. In a few seconds he returns to Earth and then leaves with Vegeta for Universe 6. Beerus sees them going in the distance and talks to himself, wondering if it's really worth risking so much of his universe just to get an answer from his father. But he shakes his head and tells himself to shut up, because those are answers he's wanted for a long time, over 1,000 years. On the planet Makuse, within Universe 7, Goku is in the sun observing the landscape. Despite the planet looking like a giant forest composed only of trees, almost all the same, and a huge river, he realizes that beneath that water there is a city. Even though he is interested in knowing if there are powerful beings on the planet with whom he can befriend and fight, he remains focused on getting the tree trunk, and he ends up finding the tree that refuses to leave the ground because it's stuck, so that not even using his hand, Super Saiyan 3 form, he can pull it off. Goku lets go of the tree and concentrates. Then his body turns red and his aura too. Knowing that this can cause considerable damage, he rushes toward the tree. But before Goku touches it, he is hit by a blast of energy. Goku's question was answered, and yes, there were warriors on that planet. In Universe 6, the universe of Mr. Champa. In Universe 6, Whis negotiates with Vados and Champa, both of whom will be able to visit Earth in search of delicious food if Champa doesn't cause problems. The god of the 6th universe accepts the deal and allows Vegeta to enter, so Whis takes him to the planet where the monster lives. Whis points to the place and says he needs him alive. Vegeta looks and there is an animal, and he already notices the presence of the strangers, and is going there. When he looks back, Vegeta does not see Whis, as Whis was returning to Earth. Vegeta raises his ki as the animal approaches, displaying its shiny horns. However, when it approaches the Saiyan, the animal does not show any aggression. On the contrary, the animal is tame, and it's as if he wanted Vegeta to pet him. Vegeta is embarrassed because he thought he would have to fight, and when Vegeta is relaxed and goes to pick up the creature to call Whis to return to his house, the animal grows up and shows why it is called a monster. Vegeta quickly flies up to the monster and holds the Saiyan by the horns, which are now huge, but Vegeta gets up and throws the creature back to the ground. Returning to Universe 7. On Earth, Whis had looked for a place to leave the giant things, and there he sees that Vegeta has already finished and managed to capture the monster and goes to get him. On the planet Makuse, which is located within Universe 7, Goku is disappointed, as he defeated each warrior with just one flick, so he returns to using his Super Saiyan 3 form with Kaioken and makes an effort to remove the tree from the ground, while Whis appears on the spot with Vegeta, who is holding the Glenger monster. Vegeta faces Goku with a smile and says, "Are you in trouble, Kakarot?" Goku replies, "They kept appearing, and that tree wouldn't leave the ground at all, but I finally managed to get that tree off the ground." Whis then takes the two to a place he had prepared, and then leave the monster and the tree there, protected by a barrier made by Whis. Goku questions, "And now what are the next items?" Whis thinks a little and says, "I don't want to say, but now you'll have to go on this mission together." In Universe 7, there is a species that uses magic, and through fights they decide whether to help someone, and you must defeat their leader and ask for the bone, which is some bone from the skeleton of an ancient Kaioshin that possessed incredible magical powers. Vegeta said, "Is this leader strong enough to need both of us?" Confidently, Whis replies, "Yes. I heard they didn't participate in the Tournament of Power because even Jiren couldn't defeat him easily. But you're much more powerful now, and I believe you can beat them." Goku and Vegeta get excited and prepare to meet and face the leader of this mysterious species from Universe 11. Whis then quickly takes them to Jiren's universe, and the three try to enter the 11th universe without being noticed and succeed. Inside Universe 11. They slow down, and a few minutes later they arrive at a planet with pink soil, white sky, and a civilization similar to Babidi. Soon Goku and Vegeta are surprised, but Whis explains that only the appearance and the connection with magic is similar in a very summarized way. But these beings' magic is superior, and their physical strength is greater compared to the Bibidi race of Universe 7. Whis says he will wait there, and when they approach the ground, the two Saiyans are stopped by a member of the species. This one wearing armor and walking with a sword on his back. "Hello, I'm Tras, and who are you?" he says, looking suspiciously at Goku and Vegeta, especially Vegeta. "Hi, I'm Goku. My name is Vegeta, and that big head over there is Kakarot. We need you to take us to your leader," says Vegeta. Tras asks, "Oh, did you come to challenge him?" Goku replies, "Yeah, and we don't have much time here, so if you could be quick, we'd appreciate it." Tras takes them to the leader, still distrusting Vegeta for his grumpy face. They travel a long way without flying, and meanwhile the leader had already been alerted to the challenge and had an arena prepared. The entire population of the small planet was also going to watch the fight. Tras talks with Goku while Vegeta is silent. Tras makes a suggestion to the warriors of the 7th universe. If they want some advice, they better give the great Koma a fight that is amazing to watch, and fight because he likes big things for his fights. They're just like parties, and those who put up a good fight have a high chance of getting what they came for. Vegeta says, "Why did you stop?" "They're all there now," Tras says in response and takes his sword. He passes the sword on the ground, and moments the three are teleported to a large arena with a huge stand full of all the beings of the planet watching. Even the animals were there. Koma, who is the leader, had a different appearance from the others, being received by everyone with applause, fireworks, and even an orchestra. Vegeta wonders what all the fuss is about, and Goku tells him that it would be really cool if they had something like that on their planet. After an introduction by a narrator, the big fight is about to begin. Goku and Vegeta on one side, and Koma on the other. How strong will the man that even Jiren cannot face be? Goku and Vegeta look at Koma, who stares back at them. Before any attack, Koma's body is split in half, without any explanation, and while Goku and Vegeta are scared of what stands before them, the audience applauds and screams. The two halves that fell on opposite sides then begin to regenerate, and now there are two Komas that attack Goku and Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta retreat and exchange punches against the Komas. Vegeta screams and transforms into Super Saiyan 2. Soon after, he pushes Koma away and says, "Hey Kakarot, he's as strong as gas. Don't be kidding." Goku puts his arms in front in a defensive position, transforming into a Super Saiyan 2 as well, and begins to raise his ki, while continuing to exchange blows against Koma, the leader of that planet. Koma sees Vegeta move away a little and then begins to concentrate a large amount of energy that forms a bright pink sphere and eats it. Vegeta doesn't understand at first, but after a few seconds, he extends his arm towards the Prince of Saiyans and whispers a few words in another language. Vegeta realizes that he is using some magic and starts to run around Koma with the intention of not getting caught. But by the time he has already been caught by the opponent's magic, Vegeta starts to get tired and falls to the ground. When he looks at his arm, he notices something strange. Koma's magic made Vegeta fat. Vegeta is so tired and has lost his transformation. So Koma opens his mouth and releases the energy he had swallowed earlier. Vegeta seems to have been evaporated with so much energy, and all that's left is a hole in the ground made by his opponent's attack. Goku gets desperate and starts looking for Vegeta, then he realizes that this fight is more serious than he initially seemed. So his excited expression turns to a serious expression. Koma is about to unite again to be one person again, but it's startled by a ki blast coming from underneath him. The place was totally illuminated by Vegeta's attack. Yes, he was still alive, and he took advantage of the hole made by him to hide while recovering his energy. Vegeta comes out of the ground surrounded by a red and thin aura, but Vegeta was thinner than usual and says, "Let's start again, the right way now." The Saiyan's hair starts to move and glow with a red light, as well as his aura, and now Koma stares at him in surprise with Vegeta's transformation, but even so, Koma smiles. Goku and Koma are facing each other, but stop fighting to watch Vegeta fly in the direction, and was as fast as lightning and tries to kick Koma, but it's stopped by Koma's hands. But that doesn't stop him from hitting him because he joins his hands in a position he hasn't used for a while, and his red aura turns purple for a while, and a purple energy ball appears in his hands. "Garlic-o!" Vegeta screams, and Koma can't stop his attack with any magic, and his only option is to be hit by the attack of the Prince of Saiyans, who falls to the ground. Koma gets up and imitates Vegeta's position. The Saiyan gets mad about it, but Koma doesn't exactly use Vegeta's Garlic-o, but as he was creating something, so he undoes Vegeta's position and makes a movement with his hands, as if he were slashing something in the air and creating a wave of ki that quickly goes towards Vegeta. Vegeta tries to dodge, but his foot is hit and he realizes that that attack also carried magic, as Vegeta is teleported in front of Koma, who punches the Saiyan several times. Goku, impressed with what he was seeing, looks at Koma and says, "Hey, are we going to overcome them?" Koma number 2 agrees with the idea and asks if it's normal for their race to have so many transformations. Goku says, yes, the one I'm using now is pretty weak compared to the others. Koma gets even more excited and raises his ki too and says, so please use everything you have against me. Goku prefers to leave his Ultra Instinct for a case when he really does need it, and then transforms into Super Saiyan Blue. Vegeta gets up, already with injuries on his body, and transforms into Super Saiyan Blue, then opens his arms and begins to gather ki in his 2 hands. The 2 Koma watch, interested in what will happen, and Goku backs away a little, so as to not be hit by Vegeta's attack. Vegeta joins his arms and shouts, Final Flash! A ki blast is launched at Koma, who this time manages to create a shield, and Vegeta is unable to destroy it. Meanwhile, Goku advances against the other Koma but is thrown away by a kick. Goku gets up and throws several ki balls at Koma while running toward him. Koma uses a spell that pins Goku's feet to the ground, so the Saiyan prepares a Kamehameha and launches it at Koma. Vegeta returns to his normal form and tries physical combat, but Koma is much stronger than Goku and Vegeta's base form. Koma lands a blow with the palm of his hand on Vegeta's face and begins to spin, and after a few spins, he lets go of Vegeta, and he goes flying, spitting blood from his nose. Then the 2 Komas disappear and Goku can't locate his ki, so he goes back to his base form and waits for him to appear. But suddenly Koma appears on top of Goku and drags him by the hair, but Goku grabs Koma's arm and makes him hit the ground. Before Koma can get up, Goku launches another Kamehameha that is interrupted when Vegeta lands on top of him. Vegeta is furious and says, "Pay attention, Kakarot." Vegeta gets up and wipes the blood on his face and with his hands, and after thinking a little, he decides to use his Ultra Ego to end the fight as soon as possible, to bring Beerus the next necessary item to open the portal to the Void World. Vegeta gets into the key charging position, and then his eyebrows burn and become a purple flame, and his eyes turn purple, and his flames become an aura, and his purple light reflects in his hair. That is the superior ego. Vegeta says, "I still haven't trained enough with this form, but I believe it will be enough." Vegeta runs towards Koma to throw a punch, but Koma catches Vegeta's punch with one hand. However, Vegeta slides his hand and catches Koma, pulls back and slams his forehead into Koma's forehead. Koma is bewildered by the strength of the Saiyan's forehead and stumbles before falling, and Vegeta grabs him by the collar of his clothes, throws him away. Vegeta goes after him. Koma opens his eyes just before Vegeta kicks him in the face, and still with his head aching from his forehead, he cannot defend himself. Vegeta sinks Koma into the ground, but Vegeta doesn't stop and raises his arm towards Koma. Vegeta waits for him to get up and says, "Big Bang Attack." Nothing happens because Koma is not in front of Vegeta, but behind him, waiting for him to turn around. What? Vegeta looks back and Koma is twice his size and kicks Vegeta away, so Koma returns to normal. Vegeta seems to have been defeated, and Goku is not much different as Koma is waiting for him to get up, but Goku is unable to fight anymore. Both Saiyans lose their transformations, and the fight is said to be over. Koma unites again and uses his magic to heal Vegeta and Goku. When Vegeta and Goku wake up, they are in the leader's room where Whis is also present, sitting and waiting. Goku and Vegeta wake up and look around, and they see that they are in a room with Koma and Whis and some guards. Vegeta asks, sitting still on the floor, feeling unwell, "What's going on here?" Koma says, "I thank you for the fight. I had a lot of fun, and my people enjoyed the fight, so I decided to give you what you want. Tell me what you want." Koma continues, "By the way, this gentleman says he is with you," then points to Whis. Whis nods to Oni Vegeta, and Goku is still passed out. "You can," Vegeta said to Koma while his consciousness went back and forth repeatedly. "Can you give us a piece of the bone?" Vegeta is finally fully awake, and Goku starts to wake up too. "There is? Alright, come with me." Koma gets up and takes a key that floated above his throne. Goku, Vegeta, and Whis go with Koma to a room with several guards, and Koma asks them what purpose made them look for such an item. Whis, seeing that his friends were a little confused, answers it for them. "Well, as I said earlier, we are from another universe. We need some items to make a spell that will allow our god of destruction to recover from a wound inflicted by a witch." Goku starts to speak. "Hey Whis, but..." then is interrupted by Vegeta's hand, who threatens to punch. Goku almost tells the truth to Koma, who stares at him for a few seconds, until finally the silence is broken by Koma. Koma says, "Well, I couldn't detect a lie in your words. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that you're an angel. I just ask that you don't cause us problems," said Koma, changing his expression of distrust to one of relief, and soon after placing his key in front of the wall that opens and reveals a dark room. Koma says, "Wait here. The view of the Kaioshin skeleton may be different than expected. Koma enters the room and the light turns on. He goes to a box and puts his hand on it, and with another, he pulls a small bone similar to a finger. Koma says, "What are you looking for?" Whis replies, "Yes, thank you so much. Here, thank you so much for this." Whis says thanks and brings out a large amount of cups and instant noodles, all stacked in a huge triangle. Koma says, "What is this? Cups?" Koma is surprised because he had never seen that before. "Put hot water and wait for a few moments, and it will be like this." Whis makes another glass appear, but this one is ready. He gives it to Koma and tells him to eat it. Koma hesitates a little but agrees to eat those lines of a strange material covered by water with a color that is also. At first, Koma freaks out and runs to his room, where he demands that his cooks create something like this right away. Goku runs after Koma and says goodbye, saying it was a great fight. Koma says the same and bids farewell to Vegeta, who simply nods back, but Goku tells Koma that Vegeta sure enjoyed the fight. The angel takes them all back home, and now there are 3 things, so he starts describing the last 2 items. Whis says, a green stone from the planet Urozen, that is in the Universe 2. The other is herb that grows in some parts of the moon of Universe 4. Whis says, "Hey Vegeta, you go to Universe 2, and Goku tries to avoid problems in that place. Goku says, "I always end up in the worst situation. I'll take the risk of meeting those love-obsessed idiots." Goku says, "Not even Vegeta. You already chose where you're going the other time. Let me go to Universe 4 this time, please." Goku puts his hand together and kneels, almost begging. Vegeta raises his ki and says, "There's only one way to decide something like this." Goku starts to sound and says, "Got it." So Goku starts raising his ki. Whis watches the 2 mightiest warriors in the land, shrouded in their auras, prepare, and Goku and Vegeta attack each other at the same time. "Jo!" Goku begins. "Keen!" Vegeta continues. "Po!" The 2 finish. It wasn't a ki attack. They decided to put everything into the Jokempo, and Vegeta lost. That is, Vegeta is the one who will look for the stone in Universe 2. Vegeta arrives on the planet Urozen, a place similar to a normal city on Earth, full of heart ornaments everywhere, with the population celebrating the victory of the heroine Ribrianne against a giant monster that threatened the planet. Goku is on the moon with a special suit made by Whis for him to be able to breathe in space, and that place is apparently empty. Now it's up to the 2 Saiyans to get what they asked for, and it may not be as easy as it seems to get these last items, as both warriors realized they're being watched. But Beerus is close to finding his father again. With Vegeta on planet Urozen, Vegeta looks back and sees nothing, but he still feels something following him, so he ignores it and keeps walking while looking for the stone. With Vegeta on the planet Urozen in Universe 2, the universe of Ribrianne, Goku walks around the moon looking at everything around him because Goku could feel that there is not just one but several beings that are slowly surrounding him. Goku sees something with a slightly greenish-gray color and runs to get it. Vegeta already feels the energy approaching him, so he screams furiously and says, "I know it's there. Show up soon." Behind Vegeta appears Ribrianne, who is already transformed, faces him and asks Vegeta what he is doing there. But the Saiyan is ashamed and passes by her and continues walking. Vegeta eventually finds a rock like the one Whis described and picks it up. The moment Vegeta touches the rock, he notices a huge attack behind him, but jumps to the other side and manages to dodge it. "Huh? Did you come here to steal?" says Ribrianne, again facing Vegeta. This time she's the one furious. Vegeta jumps towards Ribrianne and punches her in the face, then shouts, "Hey Whis, come get me out of this place." Ribrianne gets up and shouts, "You will pay for it." Channeling her ki, she fires several hearts of ki at Vegeta, who blocks it both with a ki ball. Vegeta, still in his base form, has a purple aura and speaks in a low voice that makes Ribrianne afraid. Vegeta says, "Don't make me destroy this planet." Before Ribrianne can react, Whis appears and takes Vegeta down to Earth. On the moon, Goku is surrounded by black skeletal-looking beings who begin to attack him together. Goku explodes his ki and fires a Kamehameha that hits 7 of them, so that leaves 5. Goku takes down one by one, takes the herb that is another item to open the portal, and calls Whis, who quickly arrives with Vegeta to take him before those beings get up. In the place where Whis had placed the Glanger monster and the tree from the planet Makuse, Beerus is nervous but doesn't say a single word. Meanwhile, Whis gathers all the items and asks everyone to get out of the circle he created so that nothing gets close to the items. With everyone away, Whis begins to drain all the energy from the items, which when leaving them forms a large sphere in the sky, similar to the Genki Dama. After taking everything useful out of the items, they become dry, cracked, and brittle. Whis handles the large mass that has formed when Whis compresses the energy until it becomes a tiny glow. Whis, smiling, gives the news, it's ready. The portal is ready to be opened. Beerus crosses his arms and waits for Whis to open the portal. The angel takes the little energy to a place in heaven and leaves it there. Instantly, the brightness grows, and it is possible to see the dimension of the empty world for a few seconds. But the portal closes. Everyone is surprised, even Whis. Different from what they thought, that little bone in the Kaioshin's finger wasn't enough. His energy wasn't strong enough to open such a powerful portal. Disappointed, the Saiyan asks what they should do now, showing a clear dismay, because we're already anxious to meet Beamer, the father of Beerus. Whis lets out a dismayed sigh and says, well, now there's only one thing that has the magical energy capable of opening the portal. Goku and Vegeta stare at the angel, anxious to know what it is, and then Whis finally says, we need the power of a Kaioshin, but it's too high an amount. He will probably die. In the angel's mind, he was already thinking of someone. Goku and Vegeta considered giving up, but Whis makes a suggestion. You can bring the old Kaioshin and convince him to give his energy, and I'll resurrect him later. What do you think? Goku places 2 fingers on his forehead, and before teleporting to the ultimate world, he says, leave it to me, I'll try to bring it. Goku goes to the planet of the Kaioshins, meets Kibito and Shin, and asks where the old man is. Kibito points to a tree, and there he is, holding some fruits. The old Kaioshin says, hey Goku, take one. The old Kaioshin throws one of the fruits from the tree, which hits the Saiyan in the head and knocks him down. Goku screams in pain, but eats the fruit and is amazed at how delicious it tastes, and wonders why he was never given that before. Goku apologizes and pulls the tree from the ground. He will take those fruits to planet Earth. Kibito says, hey you brat, don't be disrespectful. Kibito is so furious that the veins on his head are visible. The old Kaioshin interferes. Oh boy, let him take that one. There's more right there. By the way, Goku, what brings you right here? I feel that you have some reason to be here. Goku explains the situation relaxed because he knows that Whis will bring the Kaioshin back to life. Goku says, so do you believe that Mr. Beerus' father was so powerful that he was sent to the void dimension? It turns out that now Mr. Beerus wants to go there and get him, and we need some ingredients to make the portal that will take us there, and that's why we'll need Mr. Kaioshin. The Kaioshin accepts to go, but says the first he wants to hear from someone who knows how to explain the situation better. Shin and Kibito discuss going to Earth as well and agree that they will. Meanwhile, on Earth, Whis was already explaining to the Kaioshin what should be done, and that after his death he would already be resurrected. The old Kaioshin moves away and shouts, don't count on me to do that. I had no knowledge that Beerus is Beermer's son, but now that I know, I refuse to die to bring that guy here. I forbid you to bring him back. Beerus runs towards the Kaioshin and holds him by the collar of his clothes while he says nervously, did you know my father? Tell me, what was he like? What made him destroy my planet? The old Kaioshin asks Beerus to release him and answers his questions. Well, he was laid back most of the time. I was with him. I really think I can say that we were friends. We had drinks together several times, but when something was out of the rules of a certain place or when he wore his Hakaishin attire, he became a demon. I don't know what happened to him to destroy your planet, but I don't think it's advisable to bring him here. Beerus closes his hands and approaches the Kaioshin. Then he says, why, huh? If it won't help, I think I should destroy it here. The Kaioshin is not afraid of the god and looks at him in the eyes. If you think it's better, then do it. It's better to destroy me than to bring about the destruction of the entire universe. Beermer was banished by angels with the approval of Zenosama himself. If we bring him here, it could be the end of everything. Lord Kaioshin, we are not going to bring him here. Beerus will go to the void dimension and talk to his father there. If he decides to bring him back, we will certainly make sure that he does not come with his power, so as not to threaten our existence. Whis exclaimed, reassuring the old Kaioshin a little. The Kaioshin sits on the floor and after closing his eyes, says he is ready. Place in front of me the energy that you took from the items that you took before. Whis also sits on the floor in front of the Kaioshin and raises both hands a little below the height of the neck. Above his hands is a small glow, whose old Kaioshin deposits all his energy. Kibito and Shin teleport to Earth and find their master lying on the ground, dead. When they run towards him, Goku steps in first and says that everything will be fine. Meanwhile, Whis is in heaven with the energy he got, finally opened the portal. A slight dark energy comes out of that portal, which Beerus, Goku, Vegeta, and the Supreme Kais observe before making any decision. "Well, good luck there. As I said, I will protect the land for you in the meantime," said Beerus, walking closer to Vegeta and whispers, "Do not tell anyone." The god passes a part of his energy to the Prince of Saiyans, who, at the exact moment, already feels more powerful. Whis revives the Kaioshin and Shin, and Kibito asks for an explanation of what is happening. The Angel and the old Kaioshin give the requested explanation, and finally, the Saiyans go into the hole in the sky, where it is possible to see the dimension of emptiness, and says goodbye to their masters and the Kaioshins, and are now about to pass through the portal. Inside the void, a mysterious being wearing a cape feels something. He was feeling the portal that had just been opened. Then the mysterious being looks back, revealing himself to be Beerus' father, who was sensing Goku and Vegeta from afar entering the void. Goku and Vegeta entered the portal. The entrance itself already exuded fear, sending a shiver down the spines of the two Saiyans, but they kept going on anyway. Upon entering the portal, they were instantly taken into the void. When they got there, they looked around and there was nothing. Just a big dark scenery. The ground itself was dark, as well as the whole environment. There was nothing, just a mist was visible to Goku and Vegeta. Vegeta asked, looking around in the hope of finding some light, "Kakarot, are you feeling something strange coming from this place?" Vegeta questions Goku, who responds by looking at Vegeta. "No, Vegeta, I'm feeling a little weak." "Your fighting power is low, Vegeta. Did you lower it?" "No, I always stay with him as much as I can." "You also have low fighting power. What are you hiding?" "When we entered the portal, it was certainly bigger than it is now." Vegeta entered and questioned himself shortly after. "I didn't change my fighting power. I didn't make any changes. I don't understand." Vegeta and Goku were talking. Both were panting because of the air that was thin and the gravity that was much greater than what they were used to, and perhaps most of all, their fighting powers had been reduced. In a moment of distraction, Vegeta and Goku see something coming out of the mist, but it disappears soon after. "Vegeta, did you see?" Before he finishes speaking, a completely alien figure appears at his back, grabbing Goku by his mouth and pulling him away from Vegeta, separating the two. Vegeta looked around, even more confused. After all, Goku, who was on his side, just disappeared without leaving any kind of trace. "Kakarot." Vegeta began to fly around the place. Even though his speed was reduced, he was still able to move with the help of his own energy. Vegeta no longer felt Goku's ki, but when he stopped in the air to see what was happening, a figure appeared behind Vegeta. Just as it happened with Goku, this creature apparently could fly too, and with just one punch, he made Vegeta fall directly to the ground, bewildered. Without having time to get up, several creatures began to appear directly from the ground. These creatures began to beat Vegeta in the worst possible way. Kicks, punches, bites, all these blows hit his body. It was a brutal scene. Vegeta was unconscious and with several bruises on his body. Meanwhile, Goku had been taken to a completely dark place with nothing, and apparently the creature was gone. At least that's what Goku thought. This creature turned into a kind of goo and stuck to Goku's clothes. Not just his clothes, but his arms and legs as well. Goku struggled to get free, but the more he struggled, the tighter he got. One of his ribs cracked, causing blood to pour out of his mouth. But the creature covered his mouth and continued to torture. As the seconds went by, Goku's body began to go numb. His consciousness was slipping away. He was fainting. It didn't take long for Goku to pass out completely and fall to the ground. An hour after the incident, Beerus and Whis were on Earth, concerned about the progress of the mission. On Earth, everything was fine. No kind of disaster was happening. An hour had already passed since Goku and Vegeta had gone to the void. But in such a dimension, it was difficult to have a correct notion of time, especially with Goku and Vegeta unconscious. Time passed and Goku, who was less injured, woke up and looked around and saw the creatures. Then he got up quickly and released a sphere of ki to light up the environment, but even so, the Saiyan could only visualize the humanoid figure that was there. His body was completely dark, only his eyes and mouth were visible. Such a vision left Goku distracted, and in a quick attack, the creature made Goku faint again. When Vegeta regained the slightest bit of consciousness, the prince, impatient as he is, flew up and started shooting several blasts of ki at the creature, because at that moment, that was what Vegeta could do. Somehow the creature seemed to absorb the blows, and of course, they wouldn't let Vegeta escape. While he thought that all the creatures had been exterminated, one attached itself to his body, squeezing his arms, legs, and neck. Vegeta desperately struggled to get out of there, but it didn't seem to work, and as he lost consciousness, he heard something coming from all directions of that place. "Creatures of the void, that's enough. Bring the intruders to me." The voice made that place shake. The creature seemed to respond to his call, and Vegeta finally lost whatever consciousness he had left. Goku and Vegeta were taken to a strange location, where they were together again, but somehow unable to move. A voice came from nearby. "Hello, noble guests. How are you?" The being said that even though he was in the void, he had a white outfit that reminded him of something peaceful. He was literally a light amongst the darkness. "I am Leonel. Pleased to have you here." With a raised hand, he performed 2 claps that allowed Goku and Vegeta to move. So getting up, Goku glared at the being as he approached, but as soon as Goku took a step, his body instantly dropped to the ground as if a strong gravitational wave was pushing his body toward the ground. Leonel kicked Goku in the face, who lay completely on the ground. "At no point did I tell you that you could get out of there, you piece of shit." Leonel spoke with a threatening tone, walking towards the end of the Saiyan's body. He lifted one of his own legs and stepped on Goku's knee, which simply broke. The Saiyan screamed in pain, exhaling his suffering. "For your boldness, you will have a small punishment. You don't mind, do you?" Vegeta looked at that stunned, but above all he was very angry. Activating his Super Saiyan, Vegeta went on top of Leonel, who didn't show any reaction. When Vegeta approached, time began to run slowly towards Leonel. Vegeta was about to throw a punch, but before even blinking an eye, Vegeta, who was dizzy, saw several Leonel, which was strange. In reality, what had happened was, when Vegeta approached the being, simply threw 3 punches in his abdomen, face, and chest, and one last blow that broke Vegeta's arm. Raising one of his hands, the man in white made Vegeta stop in the air, and then Leonel pulled Vegeta by his hand and simply threw him against the ground, leaving him completely bewildered without being able to move. Leonel started stepping on Vegeta's face, rubbing his shoe on his face. Leonel said that, while stepping on Vegeta's face, besides him, Goku was dying on the ground. Another one who failed to fulfill his role. "I'm going to kill you, you worm. While you're here, remember one thing in this world. I am God. You are just rubbish." Leonel had moved away from Goku and Vegeta, sitting on a seat made especially for him. "An arm and a leg. You lost that. You don't have any regeneration skills, right? I can feel." Goku and Vegeta tried to get up from the ground, but Leonel just looked at them with a disgusted face. "I didn't order them to get up. Stay there until you receive my orders." Leonel spoke, changing his tone. "Well, now that we've been introduced, tell us why you're here." Vegeta questioned, trying to maintain some pride. "Why should we?" An aura began to exude from Leonel, causing a lot of fear because it was a devastating aura. "I did not ask. I ordered." The Archangel began to explain, introducing himself formally this time. Okay. I have to introduce myself more formally. My name is Leonel. I've been here since the beginning. I'm one of the 4 angels that were expelled. Here, I am the ruler." Vegeta replied, grumbling as always. "Ha! We came here looking for someone named Beerus, and that's all." The Archangel said with an air of grandeur in him. "If you tisk again, you will lose your speech, sight, and hearing, but especially all of your 5 senses. Besides, I'll make you lose all the will to fight, if you have any left. So it's better to know your place." "Beerus, I know this being, but why would they want to bring this wretch back?" Right there, a hooded being with gigantic fighting power appeared, emanating an abnormal aura. "Miserable, don't make fun of me." It didn't look like it, but Leonel was scared, but he didn't show any kind of reaction, so he said, "I see you've arrived, Beerus." Saying in a sarcastic tone, Leonel said goodbye to both of them in that place and simply disappeared like a mist, disappearing in that place as if his body was not physical. "Well, take care of these 2. Now I say goodbye. Goodbye." Beerus then asks, "You, what do you want here? Open the beak." The being removed its hood, revealing its appearance. With the arrival of the God of Destruction, the angel felt threatened and simply disappeared without a trace. With his departure, the gravitational force that was holding Goku and Vegeta disappeared as well. The Prince of Saiyans managed to get up normally, but Goku, on the other hand, had a broken leg and couldn't get off the ground now. Vegeta looked at his companions seriously and then commented, "Kakarot, try flying instead of walking, at least for now." Goku was in a state where he couldn't deny the idea, so he began to levitate through the air, rising little by little. The God of Destruction, watching all of this, decided that it would be simpler if neither of them could stand up anymore. As Goku got up, Beerus lunged at the Saiyan, grabbing Goku by the head and slamming her onto the ground. Blood was spurting everywhere, and the ground was red from Goku's blood. The Prince of Saiyans looked to the side without understanding what was happening at the moment. His eyes met Goku's body on the ground in agony and writhing, and he just uttered a doubtful phrase. "There is. What happened?" said Vegeta, extremely confused. Beerus pulled away from Goku's body and looked at Vegeta and just replied with a mocking look. "You did not see me. What are such weak beings doing here? What a shame, profaned Beerus in a sarcastic tone. Vegeta glared at him and, gritting his teeth, said, "Shut the fuck up, you worm. How dare you call me weak?" Vegeta exclaimed, extremely irritated. Beerus laughed and then commented, "Did you call me a worm? How bold. When you die, you will feel like a worm indeed. We'll make a deal. If you lay a finger on me, I'll heal your little friend over there, and you too, of course." Vegeta didn't think twice and went after the God of Destruction using his still functional arm. Vegeta made a key sphere and charged at Beerus, who did nothing but stand still. When touching it, the spear exploded, releasing a very dense smoke. Taking advantage of this smoke, Vegeta used all his speed to go behind Beerus, but the god was not there. In an act of carelessness, Vegeta did not realize that Beerus was behind him. In this way, the God of Destruction delivered a powerful punch to Vegeta's stomach. If he had been a little weaker, the punch would have pierced him without a doubt. Beerus let out a light chuckle and knocked Vegeta to the ground with a punch. When Vegeta was on the ground, Beerus started to step on his head, remembering what Beerus had done to the king of Vegeta. Beerus was amused by all that, and once again speaking with mockery, he commented, "What was it? Has your pride been destroyed, you little worm?" Beerus stomped on Vegeta's face, knocking him to the ground. Beerus turned his back on Vegeta and with a look of disappointment just said, "You didn't even make up for my time." Beerus was able to walk away when Vegeta grabbed his ankle, holding him back. Beerus looked back, completely irritated, with a huge smile on his face. Was it happiness? No, it was evil. The murderous aura started to exude from him, and with just the release of his power, Vegeta flew away. But there was something different from Beerus' aura, and all it shouldn't be so destructive, should it? Beerus' aura exuded an exorbitant temperature. His power level was gigantic, and despite everything, Vegeta was still alive. But the hand that had grabbed Beerus' ankle was completely skeletal, his face was completely charred, and his chest was pure muscle. But Vegeta could still breathe, he just couldn't get up. Beerus surrounded Vegeta and looked at his injuries. Beerus' expression slowly changed, and when he had nothing left to hide, he looked at the Saiyan on the ground and said, "It is serious that all this damage was caused by my power uplift." Beerus teased Vegeta. Beerus was serious, but at that moment he started laughing. "Ha ha 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 ha!" Beerus laughed out loud, mocking Vegeta. Beerus held back in every possible way, but that alone was enough to finish off both Saiyans. The God of Destruction looked impatiently at those two. Something bothered him. Beerus walked up to Goku and extended his hand and said, "I keep my word, or almost always, but this time I will." Beerus initiated a healing process that caused all of Goku's wounds to heal completely. Beerus walked over to Vegeta, who was on the floor, completely destroyed, and smiling, he just stared at him and commented, "Don't you think it's time to wake up?" At that moment, Vegeta realized that the whole battle against the God of Destruction was nothing more than a simple illusion. His arm had already been healed, and Goku seemed to be okay with it all. Beerus looked at Vegeta, mocking his face. Then he made an extremely arrogant comment. "Not in a trillion years would you be able to touch me. That's a universal law, and especially here, where you can barely move. Be patient. This kid really thought he could touch me. How pathetic." Beerus looked at Vegeta with a look of disappointment and disgust. Vegeta looked at Beerus with anger and mostly with shame. Goku didn't quite understand the situation, so he just put a smile on his face as usual and said, "Come on guys, don't be like that. Vegeta, Beerus healed our wounds, and you don't need to go around attacking everything, and we all need to get him to where Mr. Beerus is if we're going to be extremely hurt. Please," said Goku, trying to calm the situation. Vegeta listened to all of it and mumbled, closing his face, Yeah, do as you wish." He turned away. Beerus, on the other hand, had changed his expression upon hearing about his son. No one had ever mentioned his son's name in that place. Beerus looked at Goku, and emanating a dark aura, he went to the Saiyan. If the Archangel exuded an aura of fear, Beerus exuded an aura of complete destruction. The Saiyans' bodies were shaking like never before. Their breathing became labored. Their bodies were even heavier. It was an overwhelming pressure. And then when he was close enough to the Saiyan, he just questioned, "Where is my son?" he said, looking fixed at Goku. A shiver went up Goku's spine, who stammered in response to Beerus' question. "On Earth," he stammered in fear. Beerus' aura dispersed, changing the air of the scenery again. When he got the answer, he turned around, walking away from the Saiyans. His gaze turned to both Saiyans who were present at that location, and with a sarcastic tone, he just commented, "Earth, I see. So I'm going to have a little party on that Earth." Clearly, he wasn't talking about partying. He was talking about wrecking. Vegeta was still in doubt about Beerus, but Goku believed he was going to throw a party. Beerus looked at Goku and asked him again, "How is my son?" questioned Beerus. Excited, Goku began to explain, "Mr. Beerus is very strong. He was without a doubt one of the strongest I've ever fought. He's the god of destruction of Universe 7, and he likes Earth food." Beerus nodded in agreement with Goku's words. Beerus was surprised that his son was the god of destruction of Universe 7, even though he didn't show it. Looking at Goku, he then said, "Intriguing. So you came to get me, and how will they do that? What if I refuse to go? Will they take me out of here by force?" "Hahaha, just kidding. I will go just to see my son," said Beerus, explaining himself. Beerus got up, going behind the Saiyans, and looking at them said, "We will?" He started walking through the void as the Saiyans followed. Beerus stopped midway, turning back and questioning Vegeta and Goku. "Okay, how are we going to Earth?" he questioned Beerus, who didn't know how Goku and Vegeta managed to get into that dimension. Goku and Vegeta looked at each other and replied at the same time, "We didn't think about it." Beerus was speechless, looking at both Saiyans with disgust, completely ignoring what they just said. Beerus just kept walking. On Earth, Beerus and Whis were getting impatient, so Whis decides to open the portal for at least 20 seconds. He quickly reached out and opened the portal. Returning to the void, Goku and Vegeta felt the portal open not so far away. Goku looked at Beerus and shouted, "Mr. Beerus, over here!" Both Saiyans started flying towards the portal, and Beerus walked around following the Saiyans. Goku and Vegeta landed on the ground in a few moments, but Beerus seemed to be far away. Goku looked back, hoping to find Beerus, but when he turned around, he saw nothing. And when Goku turned around again, there was Beerus right behind him. Goku and Vegeta entered the portal, and Beerus stayed behind, his serious face disappearing, and in its place was a huge smile. Finally, Beerus entered the portal that took them to Earth. We've reached the end of another video today, so for those of you who like the content of this channel already, leave the like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to leave your comment, which is very important for the channel. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.